In the copper steel pine tree, there's been some questions about brazing these 3/32 inch rods onto the copper. So what I've done here is put together a number of examples. If you're having trouble with this, hopefully this video will help. In turning this piece of copper around, what I'm looking for is a flat space to braze the rod onto. Now, I don't always find that. If you notice here, I'm turning this piece of copper over. I want that melted edge to be on the bottom. So when you're looking at the tree, the edge is at the bottom of the pine bough. It gives each pine bough more dimension, thus more interest. Now for this piece of copper, I'm looking for the flat spot, but it doesn't look like I can find a flat spot exactly where I want to braze this rod on. So in this case, I'm just going to have to do the best that I can. At the end of this video, there's a short section on adjusting the torch flame. And for this particular brazing situation, this might be a big help. It also might help with the 3/32 inch rods, cutting them off longer so that you could hold them with your fingers rather than the needle nose. Now this would be much more convenient, much easier to do than using the needle nose. It definitely would give you more control so that you can place that daub of bronze on the 3/32 rod exactly where you want it. Now here's an overhead shot which will give you a different view of brazing the 3/32 inch rod onto the copper. Now I've been doing this a while, and you can see that I still have some problems with using the needle nose with these twisted 3/32 inch pieces. By cutting the 3/32 inch rods off longer, that means there's going to be some waste of rod. But it may be quicker and easier. Again, trying to find some spot that is flat to braze on the 3/32 inch rod. As I'm brazing this, I notice that I am using a strong flame or a hot flame. Adjusting the flame so that it's not quite as strong or not quite as hot may be the answer. Now, cutting the flame back some, that means it's going to take longer, but it definitely will give more control, meaning that it will take longer to get the copper and the 3/32 inch rod with the daub of bronze, getting them up to a brazing temperature. If you heard that little sputter right there, that means that I've got things just a little too hot. That's not a problem, but it just means that they need to ease up or be just a little quicker. Now this is just standard lighting the oxygen acetylene torch. Getting the acetylene in there until it feathers out at the left end, then introducing the oxygen, bringing it back to a neutral flame. But let's say that's just a little too hot. I can reduce the acetylene, smaller flame, and then reduce the oxygen. So I pull it back into not only a smaller flame, but I have the neutral flame. So that you can see this, I've added a filter here. Okay, I have a neutral flame, but let's say I want a hotter flame. So I'm going to add some acetylene, then add some oxygen until I bring it back into not only a hotter flame, but I still have the neutral flame, that small blue cone there. Now, if I want to cut that back some, I'll reduce the acetylene, then reduce the oxygen, bring it back into a neutral flame, which is just not as hot as the flame that I had before. Instead of going down to a smaller brazing tip, you can just adjust the flame right at the torch handle.